Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. So, review time on the Traxxas Rustler 2-wheel drive. Now, this thing I got as a roller on a trade deal with the tank. And so I've done a couple of little minor things to it since I got it. One of which is I finally changed out my rear tires. I went to the Stampede 4x4 tires, had those for a while. Keep ripping bearings out of the rear end every time I pull the trigger. It's like, it's getting expensive for bearings. So I decided to go with HSP Brontosaurus / Red Cat Volcano tires for the rear, just because they're a little smaller diameter, a little bit lighter, so not so hard, on things to get them to move, and they got a ton more traction too. And I'm really liking how these tires are working on the back. Although they're going to get swapped out again for something different, down the road. Because I want to try and, kind of bring this thing back into all new original, right? Except maybe, well, I might get the original tires and run them a couple times, but then throw them on the shelf, because apparently they do wear out pretty quick, stock rear tires. Now, it does have linear spring suspension. I am running a Speed Passion 3.0 motor in this thing. Brushless, and it works really well. I have a little bit more programming to do on the ESC. I am running a 35 amp hobby wing in it, and it's running actually really good. And for an ESC that's not waterproof, and I've gotten it wet quite a few times, it hasn't even hiccuped, so I'm not going to worry about it. So anyway, I do run a 2-cell LiPo in this all the time, and actually I've tried a 5200 mAh at 30C. I've tried my YKS in it at 50/60C. YKS actually does perform a lot better, so that extra burst of current really does help a lot. Haven't bothered to run, well, I ran the 3-cell once, and that was it, and I only ran it on the street because I didn't want to tear apart my new axles. Now the axles that were on it were actually not bad a shape, but they were starting to get a little bit worn, and so I thought, okay, well, I'll buy some brand new axles, throw them on, and, get things all tightened up again, that sort of thing. And it's doing pretty good. The servo that came with it was a metal geared servo that was a little on the sloppy side. It's almost like having a busted wheel bearing up front, because it goes to the left, it goes to the right, it goes to the left, right? So it was a bit of a pain to get the steering to stay lined up properly, because there was some play in that servo. And it turned out, I took it apart, and it turned out the bushing that was in there was just way oversized. I mean, it's just like, just too big. So anyways, I put a bearing in it, stiffened that up, so now it's back to normal. But I'm now using that servo in something else, because I've just put a 2075 servo in that came out of my Summit, because I recently cooked one of my servos in my Summit, and it's like, well, it's about time anyways. And yeah, so I put all new bearings and that in the 2075 servo because it needed them, and so water's been getting into them somehow. So new bearings went in, re-greased everything, thing is smooth as glass, so hopefully this servo lasts me quite a long time. But it does perform really well with the 2075 servo, and I had to do a bit of a front wheel alignment on it once I changed it, because the front left was cockeyed. So now everything's like dead straight the way it should be. And this thing is so much more fun to drive now than it was before. It was fun to drive before, don't get me wrong. But now everything's nice and tight and balanced and set up right. It's like, man, this thing smokes. However, it does have a bit of a light front end to it, and that's one thing you'll find with probably a lot of 2-wheel drive vehicles, especially I had a Stampede 2-wheel drive once, a long time ago, one of the old original ones, and 2-wheel drive, of course, and always, for some reason, they're a little light on the front, and this is no different. It is light on the front end, so when you want to try and go into a steep turn, you're going to have to slow the heck down before you do it, because to try and take it at full speed or really fast speeds, the steering really isn't that great on the truck, so it does have that as a bit of a downer, so you need some weight on the front. So I got to try and figure out how to add probably about a pound is about what I'm thinking I'm going to need to keep that front end tight to the ground. And maybe even changing over to a different set of tires wouldn't hurt either for the front, because the front tires, well, they're decent, you know, they're pretty good, you know, but they're a little bit wide. You know, a 1/4 inch narrower, I think would actually be better, you know, and maybe about 1/8 of an inch shorter, and that might actually help without adding extra weight into the car. The linear spring suspension really is good on it, and helps with the jumps, absorbs the jumps really well, you know, and so pretty happy with that. I'm running a FlySky 2 radio system on this thing, which I actually share it with my my big boat, and I'm going to be sharing it with another machine down the road as well. It's just like buying the receivers, you know, to each machine when you go, and then just turn on, go, turn on, go. You don't have to worry about rebinding, which is nice. Overall, pretty decent machine. Now it is ball bearing. It came that way. It was already upgraded to ball bearing because this was originally the brushed version, eh? And the brushless version automatically comes with ball bearings. And I've thrown out a few bearings in the rear end, and it's like, so hopefully these HSP Red Cat tires work out better, and I don't blow so many bearings because I'm running out of bearings. I'm gonna have to buy more soon. But yeah, great little truck. Now, if you're buying the VXL brushless version, they're about 370, 390 bucks, you know, Canadian money, depending where you buy them, right? Getting trade deals is always awesome. Buying a used one. If you can find a used VXL version, you know, that's decently priced, you know, I would say snag it, you know, because they are a really good truck. But just keep in mind, it's a little light on the front end, you know, that's the thing. And that's always been the thing with the Rustler. It's always had that light front end issue. You know, and I've watched tons of videos myself for the last few years, you know, looking at the Rustlers, looking at the Slashes, looking at this, that, and the other thing. You know, and the Rustler was something for a long time, even for me. It was kind of like, I don't know, man, like, you know, stock rear tires wear out quick, light front end, yeah, I don't know, and then I thought, you know what, I'm going to get one on a trade deal, okay, we'll give her a go. And I got one on a trade deal, and, you know, overall, really happy with the truck. It's a lot of fun. So, now if I'm going to give this a full rating, I can't base it against, you know, being stock, because this is far from stock. I have no experience driving a fully stocked Rustler, brushed or brushless, but with what I've got going on here is where my star rating is really going to set up. So I'm going to put this thing, now I know how the Vlenion systems actually do work because I have the Vlenion in my Slash, but that's an apple to an orange realistically. And I'm not going to throw my VXL system in this and the stock rear tires just to say, okay, it gets this, you know, just kind of pointless. But for the way everything is here with it right now and how it is, etc., I'm going to give this thing as a, I guess if I was to compare it to videos I've seen, which would help, from the videos I've seen on the Rustler stock, how about we do it this way? From the videos I've seen on the Rustler completely stock, opinions based on those videos by guys who actually know their stuff, okay? I would say this Rustler in a brushless version, okay, because that's what mine is set up as, I would have to put this thing probably somewhere around 3.5 out of 5, realistically. Now that's even with the Vlenion system, like we're talking a brushless one, I would have to put it that low. It has a very light front end, which a lot of people will find is a little annoying. Back tires stock wear out fast, okay? Front tires, although they're pretty cool, they don't offer a real ton load of traction. You know, but part of that is also due to the fact that there's no real weight on the front end. You know, when you're driving this thing, there's not a lot of weight on that front end. It wheelies pretty good, you know, it's got good takeoff and everything. Now in comparison to my setup, you know, the way I've got things going right now, Now I don't have a Millennium system in, but it is a 3500 kilovolt motor, you know, blah blah blah, right? And I have run it on 2S and 3S. You know, it does have a stock servo in it now, at least as far as brushless goes. I'm pretty sure the brushless one does come with a 2075, and I think it's a 2056 for the brushed. But whichever, I'm running all brushless. But I mean, I'm going to rate this thing here myself, with my present setup, actually a little bit better. Okay, I'm going to give this thing about a 3 3/4 out of 5. So it doesn't really gain a whole lot. I've got much better, superior rear tires on my Rustler compared to what comes with it stock. You know, and these things, they can go through dirt, they'll go through the grass, they go through all kinds of terrain, and they got lots of grip. You know, these HSP tires are pretty meaty lugs on here. The front end is still loose as far as, you know, it's lightweight, there's not a ton of traction on the front. You've got to slow down into the turns, especially sharp turns, you know, that sort of thing. It's just the nature of the beast, right? Every vehicle is going to be different and drive different. I've taken a lot of flips and hits with this thing, and it's holding together really well. I've taken a few front end wheel hits, haven't broken any A-arms, you know, so it's pretty good that way. I've had a few screws work loose though on the A-arms when I've been driving it, and I got one shock, but I fixed that problem. That I think was just nothing more than, I've got aluminum caps on my shocks, so these are actually a little tighter than the factory stuff, and so I think that's what was actually working the screw loose, but I fixed the one front screw and now it ain't moving. So anyways, overall though, it's still a pretty decent truck. It's, I would say, as a brushless version stock out of the box for what they sell for, they're actually fairly decently well priced, you know, for the VXL version. I think for the brushed version though, a little expensive. The brushed versions should be somewhere around maybe about 260 bucks, you know, all day long. That's about where the brushed version Rustler should sit. You know, it's about 260. You know, Traxxas or not, I mean, you know, a lot of Traxxas machines are worth the money, but some of them should be a lot cheaper. And this is one of them that if you're going to buy brushed, should be a way bit cheaper than what they sell them for. Brushless probably could go a little bit cheaper on price too, you know. So, but anyways, that's pretty much where we're sitting at with that. But overall, still a good truck, still recommend it, you know, same as I recommend a Slash too. You know, Slash is a much, much stronger and cooler truck, mind you, for four-wheel drive, but the Rustler and the two-wheel, it's a pretty decent truck. I think pretty much anybody would probably be happy with it for, you know, the fact that, you know, it runs good, it's a good jumper, you know, popping wheelies is awesome. It's a lot of fun popping wheelies with it, you know, so that's pretty cool. It is a fast machine, you know, for brushless, it is very fast. I haven't speed checked mine yet, and I didn't have stock gearing in it. Well, the spur I'm pretty sure is, but pinion, I'm running a 1 tooth below stock, so I think I'm running like a 19 tooth pinion in here instead of a 20, and I think that's what it is. But don't quote me on that. But anyways, I know I'm 1 tooth below what normally would come pre-installed, and so I got plenty of torque, you know, and I still got some really good speed out of it, which is nice. I'm not into the speed run thing, guys, by the way, because I know everybody's like, you got a Rustler, do speed runs, it's so much fun. Yeah, so expensive too to do, you know, and I'm really not into it. If I want an adrenaline rush, that's why I got a Slash for, and I'll throw a 3-cell in it, you know, but and if I want an adrenaline rush, I can still get a lot of speed out of this thing. I don't care about speed runs, to be honest. It's nice to know how fast you're going, you know, with stock and speed gearing, but other than that, you know, it's just, I'm not into that sort of thing, you know. A lot of guys are, and it's fine, I respect them for it. It's just not my sort of thing, you know. And, but anyways, so that's where I kind of stand on that one, because I know there's going to be a lot of you that we're going to probably comment, hey, you should get into this, get into that 70-mile-an-hour club, get into the 100-mile-an-hour club. That's not me, that's not what I'm about. So anyways, that being said, we're done with this review. Feel free to leave your comments. Thank you for watching. And to those who do speed runs with the Rustler, hey, you guys do have some pretty cool videos. You're doing a wonderful job with your machines, and that's awesome, and we'll catch you on the next one.